Hey everybody, welcome into Faith in Football. My name is Neil, and we are here. Week 11 start sit. Guys, we're starting that playoff push, and it's about to get real fast. Some of you, you're struggling. I get it. Some of you, you've kind of fallen off. You've fallen prey to the injuries, and you've had some really bad days. Some of you have had really good days, you've been having a really awesome year. You made the right choices in trades and acquisitions and drafting, and you just had a blessed year. Look, today we're going to be talking about your best day and your worst days. And here's the thing is that a lot of times your best days, you don't know they're your best days until you look back and you evaluate what's been going on. And sometimes your best days in the moment you thought were your worst. And I'll kind of clear that up in a minute. I know it can be a little confusing, but such is life. Now, speaking of such is life, um, we have experience. I'm no different than you guys. I just happen to be able to get on here and have the blessing to bring the word to you. And I want to share what's been going on with me as much as I can. This past week, we experienced loss here in the family. My Uncle Charles, who lives in Maryland, passed away on Veterans Day. I was actually on the phone with my dad. I got the news that he had had a heart attack, um, and he subsequently passed away from it. They weren't able to resuscitate him. And even though we know that he was a Christian, he was one of God's children, he was a believer. And we know that the last breath that he took in this world, the very next breath he took was in heaven. It still doesn't ease the pain of the loss. It does make it easier to bear. Um, and for people in my family who are close to Uncle Charles, um, it wasn't a good day. Um, we are comforted by the knowledge that he was Christian, that he was a believer, that he is walking with the Lord now. So that's comforting for us, but it doesn't erase the pain of the loss. Um, and there's so many examples in the Bible of people who had their had their worst day and didn't realize it. And for some in my family, this was one of the worst days. Um, they might look back and see that this was actually a blessing that was the catalyst for maybe drawing family members closer together, maybe realizing that we don't have as much time, maybe as we thought we did, to correct wrongs or to mend fences that need be mending. Um, we're not the authors of our life. God is, and when it is our time, then we have a say as to when we go sometimes, and sometimes God tells us that, your job's done. You've completed the task that I've charged you with, and it's time to come home. So it was time for Uncle Charles to come home. So uh, to my, it's gonna be a little emotional in the beginning, guys. Sorry. Um, to my Aunt Sandy and uh, my cousins Amanda and Amy, uh, your loss is felt. Um, you're not alone. So um, we are family. We are here. So, but I just want you guys listening to know that regardless of what's happening, life goes on, and the the charge that we have been given by Jesus, the Great Commission to go forth into all the world and make disciples, doesn't stop just because we experience loss. Um, Sometimes we experience loss in order to experience gain. We gain a greater understanding. We gain compassion for those who have lost. We gain understanding for those who are suffering without the comfort of knowing that God is the God of all and He is Lord and Master over everything. And on this channel, I've said many times that the purpose of this is to help exercise your faith muscle so that when things like this happen to us, we can lean on the power of God. We can lean on His understanding, on His grace, on His mercy to move forward. So with that being said, we're going to get into some best days that some people had and some worst days that some people had in the Bible. Two examples that I picked out, and I want to draw attention to a couple of people's worst days, but it's going to lead into best days because without our worst, we can experience our best. So, starting out with Exodus chapter 2, verse 14. Um, this is speaking of Moses when he killed the Egyptian. Now, Moses didn't necessarily at first feel bad about killing the Egyptian because to him, he was protecting his people. So, in the moment, he was doing something right, he thought, but he was doing something that was just the wrong way. It was in his own understanding. And sometimes we do things in our own understanding that we think are right, but don't necessarily lined up with God's purpose. See, God did intend Moses to be the deliverer of Israel, but Moses was thinking on such a small scale. He was trying to defend one Israelite who was being beaten by one Egyptian instead of delivering the entire nation of Israel from its captors in Egypt. That's what God intended him to do. And when we make mistakes, sometimes, we're hesitant to do something else along that line because we messed up before. Who's to say we're not going to mess up again? Well, God uses mess ups. Like that's what we do. We mess up, but because we've messed up, that gives us an opening to really not brag on ourselves because anything that we accomplish, we can only accomplish through God's purpose and His planning, not our own. So when we read in Exodus chapter 2, verse 14, this is after Moses killed the Egyptian, thought nobody saw him, and then came out the next day and saw two Israelites fighting. And he was like, whoa, 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 guys, y'all are brothers. Why are you fighting amongst each other? And the man replied, who anointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed that Egyptian yesterday? Then Moses was afraid, thinking everyone knows what I did. So he wasn't afraid until he realized that he got caught. Then he ran away to the land of Midian. Now, here's the thing, and I've said it before if you watched previous episodes. If you haven't, and this is your first time, welcome. Sorry it was a little rough at the beginning, and that, guys, that's just how I am. Sorry. Not sorry. But if this is your first time, welcome in. Hope you get a good word and hope you get some good fantasy advice. So make sure that you're subscribed down bottom, comment, share, like it, smash the notification button, know when I drop new content. But like I said, he wasn't apologetic. He wasn't afraid until he got caught. I mean, how many times has that happened to us where we've done something, or I know I've done stuff that I thought was okay, I thought I got away with, and then I got caught on it, and then I felt bad. See, we should have felt bad enough to not do it in the first place, but that's not human nature. We have a sin nature. We have something that is within us. As Paul said, what I try to do, what I want to do, I don't do, but what I don't want to do, I do. So that's a whole thing that we can get into later. But read the story of Paul. It's an awesome story. It's Saul into Paul, not Saul the king. But anyway, but yeah, so Moses ran away to the land of Midian, and that's where God worked on him. That's where God met him. And here's the thing, God meets us in places that we're trying to get away from the sin that we've done, the bad things that we've done. God will meet us in our low places. He met Moses on a mountain in a burning bush in his low place. He was a shepherd. He was tending the flock of his father-in-law. So God will meet us where we're at. We don't have to get right before we get to God. He gets us, and then we get right. Some people get that twisted and get it messed up, but that's where he met Moses, and that's where he intended for to meet Moses, was in his low place, because he had to break him down. How many times have we had to be broken down before God can use us, before God can step in and go, hey, this is what I intended you for? So that was Moses. And then, of course, Moses went on, freed the Israelites from the Egyptians and parted the Red Sea and the whole 9 yards. And you guys know this. Well, you might know the story, you might not. But regardless, go back and read Exodus. Is an awesome book of in the Bible. So, I mean, they're all great. I like Exodus. Um, One of my favorite books. But anyway, now the next guy that we're talking about is David. Now, some of you who are churchgoers may know David as what the Bible calls the man after God's own heart. Well, here's the thing, is that Moses was a murderer, and that was the one that he designated to lead his people out of captivity. David was a rapist. Don't believe me? Go look in 2 Samuel chapter 11, where he talks about when he got with Bathsheba, who wasn't his wife. It was the Uriah the Hittite, his wife. He was off with the army fighting for David's kingdom. Like, David was the king, and he's out fighting the enemies of his people, and the king is sleeping with his wife. And not just sleeping, like, it says that he laid with her. Okay. He forced himself upon her. So basically he raped her. And that's not something that, is talked about a lot in church, because it's like, that's kind of a untouched topic, but that's what happened. So the man after God's own heart was a rapist. So, like, how can you say you're a man after God's own heart when you do things like this? It just goes to show the level of forgiveness and the level of grace and mercy that God gives to us. Like, we can do really bad things. He understands, he knows that we're going to mess up. It's just, do you have it within you to confess, to trust in him, and to turn away from the evil ways? After that happened, there's no more record of David doing anything like that for the rest of his life. So if it was relative, if it was sufficient enough to put in the Bible, then I would think that if he did it again, it would be in there too. So uh, the thing is that David didn't confess anything. He tried to cover it up a couple of times. Like, he called her husband to him from the battle lines and tried to get him to go to his wife, sent a present to his place, found out he didn't go home. He slept at the gate. When he asked him, he was like, hey, I can't do that when, my boys are out there and they're sleeping, out underneath the stars. I can't, how am I supposed to go in and live with my wife when my boys are over here suffering? Like, they're roughing it. So he tried to get him drunk. That didn't work either. So eventually he came up with a plan to kill him. So he put him on the front lines where he knew he would die and sent the order. He basically had him carry his own death sentence to the front lines. Now, it wasn't until after Nathan came and rebuked David and said, God knows what you did. And he gave him the story about how a rich man stole from a poor man, and that kicked David off. They was like, how can this happen? Like the rich man had all this stuff, and how was he going to take from the poor guy? Well, that's exactly what he did. But he didn't realize it until it was put in context for him. Sometimes we don't realize what we've done, the hurt that we've caused, until it's either done to us or explained in a way that makes it clear to us and spells it out plainly. And God will make sure that that happens one way or another and give us plenty of opportunity to come clean and to confess our sins to him and rely on him to change our ways. So in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 13, it says, Then David confessed to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan replied, Yes, but the Lord has forgiven you, and you won't die for this sin. See, David thought that he was going to die. Like God was just going to take his life and be like, hey, you messed up, you're done. But he didn't. He gave him grace, he gave him mercy. Yes, he took his child, but he blessed him with Solomon, who was the richest, wisest man who ever lived. So, the Bible tells us that God gives and God takes away, and it's up to him. It's part of it's up to us whether or not we want to bend a knee and bow to him as Lord and Master of our life, and we can continue as kings and a holy priesthood under his watch, or whether we want to try to walk in our own understanding. And guys, it doesn't work out. So, I mean, how many of us now look, this was a really bad day for David, but later on, the prosperity that he experienced was great. He was a great king. All in all, when everything is said and done and look back upon, he had a really good reign, but he messed up, same way as we all do. But God gave him grace, God gave him mercy. So the same way that I experienced loss this past week, it's given me a better insight and a better understanding for those who I run across who have lost loved ones. So I can not really appreciate, but I can understand their pain and speak to them on a level that they understand and that I have an understanding of them, because it's a lot easier. Guys, have you ever tried to talk fantasy football with somebody who doesn't understand football or fantasy football? It's hard. It's really difficult. Like, it's useless to talk to people like that. So sometimes God allows us to experience things so that later on down the line, whether it's we experience something in our youth and we are intended to pass that on to our kids, or we're intended to go through that so we know what our kids are going through, or we know what friends of ours are going through, or we know what family members are going through. Sometimes we experience stuff in midlife that, we can talk to somebody who God's put in our path that is going through something similar to that. And we get like, hey, I've been there too. I know what you're going through. And they find comfort and understanding in that time where they need that. And we can be that light for them, and we can be that guide to show them Christ. And because remember, something that Jesse Duplantis always says is that sometimes the only Jesus that people see is the Jesus in you and me. And that's always true, guys. There's never been a time in my life where I haven't experienced that, where people are just either, if they're really, really nice to me or they're really, really bad to me, like, you can see that God's not in them. You can see that the fruit isn't there. And there's other people where you cannot help but acknowledge God in their life because of the way that they treat you. So while you're going through your start sit for week 11, I want you to keep in mind that there might be somebody in your path right now that needs you to show them some grace, some mercy, some love, some compassion, the same way that Christ showed you when you were going through your hard time. So keep that in mind. And guys, please go back. I want you to go back and read Exodus chapter 2, 2 Samuel chapter 11 and 12. And just remember that the we call them characters in the Bible, but these were real people. And they didn't have the Bible to tell them what the end story was. We are fortunate enough to know what the end story is, but as we walk through our life, remember that sometimes our worst days are the days we learn the most, and they lead to our best days. So keep that in mind as we walk through this and as we get into the start set for week 11. All right, guys. I appreciate your time. And remember, don't forget my sponsors, Zia of Lafayette at 235 Duce Road, off of Johnson Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Guys, if you were in the area and you were hungry, you're looking for some place to go eat lunch, go eat dinner, somewhere to take the family, go to Zia of Lafayette. And if you're subscribed to the show, so if you're watching, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like it, share, all that stuff. If you have fantasy questions, any other question, down below, hit me up with a comment. I love to hear them, love the interaction. But if you show Zia when you go that you are subscribed to this channel, you get for free for the table one appetizer on me. Guys, they got a new Kung Pao cauliflower that is off the chain. If you like that Asian fusion type thing, it is delicious. If you don't want that, you want to take the ribs for a spin, I got you. They got dry rib, they got barbecue. The Thai ribs are to die for. They're the most popular rib that they have there. So go down there, check them out. You want a little seafood? I got you covered there too. Asian almond shrimp. It comes in a 3 or a 6 count. You can get it for the table. Let everybody have a little taste before you dive into the entree, okay? So go down 235 Duce Road, Lafayette, Louisiana. And if you're in the area, guys, we got Thanksgiving coming right around the corner. So make sure that right after Thanksgiving, you guys know what's coming. Christmas parties. You need a place to hold it, or you need somebody to bring catering, they got you covered. Call them. 337-406-0013. Whoever answers the phone will be more than happy to take your catering order and ask for Andy if you got any specifics that need to be taken care of. He is a great guy to talk to. I don't ever remember this guy saying no to a catering party. So even if it's off menu stuff, you got some stuff in mind, give them a shout, 337-406-0013, that you can either do it in the back room in the VIP, or they can come to you and bring you the food, set you up, serve you however you need to do it. They got you covered. Zia Rotisserie Bar, 235 Duce Road, Lafayette, Louisiana. Don't forget them, guys. So getting into this week, I want to remind you, I am recording this after the Thursday night game, so I'm still wearing my gear. Okay, even though we lost. Yeah, it was a rough one because it was for the division lead, but our defense did show up, and I can't wait till the rest of the community catches up with the fact that the Washington defense is legit. Okay, we couldn't stop Saquon Barkley. Who can? Okay, I mean, come on. I was thankful because not only did I have Saquon, but also Jalen Hurts. So it was a really tough game for me to watch, to say the least. But hey, my boys did me proud. I'm proud of them for the effort that they showed. They had a don't quit mentality, and right up to the end, if they had gotten the onside kick, who knows what would have happened. They only lost by 8. So hey, I know a loss is a loss, but this was a good showing. It's a young team. I'm cool with it. So, but anyway, I'm not going to be going over Philly and Washington players in this one. So just to remind you guys, make sure that your Sunday night and Monday night players are in your flex position. Okay, we got Dallas and Houston on Monday Night Football. The Battle of Texas going down Monday night. So make sure that those players are in your flex position. Nico Collins should be back for this game. Dak Prescott out for the year, so it's going to be Cooper Rush for Dallas. So if you play in leagues that have a defense, you might want to go check your waiver wire and see if the Houston Texans are already taken, because if they're not, that is a prime defensive matchup to have in your lineup. Go ahead and make sure you check them out. Also, I know he's probably rostered, but what is it? Aubrey, who is the kicker for Dallas, could be seeing a whole lot of work, because I don't see Dallas getting in the end zone a whole lot from now until the end of the year. So if you've got Aubrey, congratulations. Shout out to my nephew, Lawson. He has Aubrey. He is a Washington fan. He does not allow his fandom to get in the way of his fantasy like I do. So he's one up on Uncle Neil. So, but yeah, so there's a couple of tips on that one. Now, I want you guys to go back, because we do have some players that are coming out of the bye. Week 11, Tampa Bay gets Mike Evans back. Jordan Love coming out of a bye healthy for this week. If you guys remember last game, you saw him in week 9. He was playing in the rain and it wasn't good. He was dealing with the groin injury. He's had a week plus to get that right, to heal up from it. So we're looking at him to come out strong. However, it is against a really tough Chicago matchup, divisional matchup. So expectations should be tempered for Jordan Love owners. So keep that in mind when you're doing your lineup. If you got a better matchup, you might want to go ahead and play that one. If you got a better quarterback matchup than Jordan Love versus Chicago, because that's going to be rough. So maybe you have a couple of my starters, start of the weeks on your roster along with Jordan Love. These guys have absolutely killer matchups going into this playoff push that we're getting ready to head into. One of them is Jared Goff versus the Jags. Guys, you cannot, well, you can ask for one better matchup than this one, because Jacksonville is giving up 22.6 points to the quarterback position on the year. That makes them the second highest team giving up points to that position. Jared Goff, look, guys, if I'm not mistaken, this is a home game. And regardless, even if it's not, it's Jacksonville. So need I say more? Jacksonville is horrendous defense. They're also horrendous offense right now, because Trevor Lawrence looks like he could be out for an extended period of time. So it's going to be Mac Jones. So again, another defense, Detroit Lions. Check them out. Make sure they're not on your waiver wire. Make sure they're in your lineup, because this is a premier matchup for defense as well. But Jared Goff versus the Jags, guys, this is going to be a matchup that I would love to have pieces of. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta could be a get right as long as he's healthy and coming into this. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, all these guys should blow up for this game. So make sure those guys are in your lineup. Russell Wilson has the only other matchup that's better than Jared Goff. That's against the Ravens. I know you might be thinking, well, don't the Ravens have a really good defense? No, they have a really good run defense. You cannot run against the Baltimore Ravens. However, you can pass on them all day. Just ask Joe Burrow. You guys remember that performance that Burrow had last week? That's right. Chase went off for 60 points in our leagues, 55 in others. Joe Burrow, 40 plus points in this game. This was a scoring bonanza. And the way that Russell Wilson's been playing, I hate to say it, but this dude's on point. So he's got the weapons. He's got Mike Williams now. He's got Calvin Austin. Guys, I wanted pieces of this so bad. I went out and picked up Calvin Austin because I got Malik Neighbors on bye. Okay. This is an awesome matchup. So if you got Russell Wilson on your waiver wire, it maybe your steady quarterback is either on a bye or you're dealing with injuries, what have you. Remember the bye weeks this week. We're looking at Arizona, the Giants, the Bucks, and the Panthers. So maybe Kyler Murray, maybe you got Kyler Murray, maybe you're dealing with Baker Mayfield on a bye. You guys might want to go ahead and check out Russ Wilson or Jared Goff to plug in for this week. Okay, guys. Next up, running back. This is one you might want to strap up for because it could be a bumpy ride. But Alexander Madison, yes, I said it. Alexander Madison versus Miami, giving up 22.3 points to the position. Remember, we cut that in half. So, you're still getting double-digit points out of your running back. I mean, and if you've got guys like James Conner, who's on a bye, Chuba Hubbard on a bye, let's see, who else? Rashad White on a bye, maybe Tyrone Tracy, who's also on a bye. If you're down those guys, Madison might not be the worst guy to plug in because they're a really good matchup. So if you need a little help at running back, go ahead and plug in Alexander Madison going up against Miami. Their pass defense is really good. The run defense, you can run on them. So that might be a good thing since they still got Gardner Minshew. And they actually toyed with the idea of starting Desmond Ridder, who should never be started under any circumstances whatsoever. I'll get out and play for the Raiders before Desmond Ridder. Okay. And I'm older than Brady. So anyway, but yeah, Alexander Madison going up against Miami, team giving up 22.3 points. Nice matchup. Another even better matchup, and I know it's in the same game, just opposite side. I know this guy didn't get a whole lot of work last game, but Raheem Mostert going up against the Raiders, who are giving up even more points to the running back position at 23.8 points. So this is a whole point and a half more to the position. Now, guys, we know from last year, this can be a split and this can be streaky. So if it's a plus matchup for Miami, look, I don't know what's going on with Tua. I don't know what's going on with Hill and Waddle in their passing game, but it is just off this year. The one thing that is hidden is a run game. So Devon Achane, he's in. You already know this. Don't be scared to put in Raheem Mostert this week, especially if you're missing some of those running backs that I just mentioned on a bye. So Raheem Mostert could be the guy for you to carry you into that playoff push and put you over the hump. You never know. So, wide receiver, look, I mentioned this guy just a few minutes ago. Calvin Austin going up against the Ravens, giving up 39.3 points. That is the most to the running back position. When I tell you that Baltimore is a or a pass funnel for fantasy, guys, chug. Okay, on the passing work that the Steelers are going to get against the Ravens. Yes, it's a division matchup. Yes, it's usually a low-scoring game, but this is different because Baltimore usually has a really stout defense, both ends of the ball, passing and running. So with them not being able to run, Najee Harris, sit him down. Jalen Warren, maybe a fringe flex, just for the simple fact that he has a lot of work in the passing game, and he's one of the top pass protectors in the league. So if you guys need to plug in a running back who could get a lot of work in the passing game, Jalen Warren could be your guy. Now, speaking of guys, my guy down at Keller's Bakery in Youngsville, you guys know who I'm talking about, Dusty Shores. Go down there and check him out. He's at 627 Lafayette Street in Youngsville, Louisiana. You won't be sorry. Matter of fact, I got a little incentive for you. If you go down there, you walk through the doors, you show them that you're subscribed to this channel, you get 2 free cookies, no purchase necessary. Now, I'm not going to lie. Once you get in, I seriously doubt you're going to walk out with your 2 free cookies. You're going to want to get something because they are delicious. Everything down there at Keller's is off the chain. Look, I'm not even exaggerating. Matter of fact, this year, I'm getting 2 pies for my Thanksgiving Day table, pecan and lemon meringue. You guys go down there. Let me know what you get, what kind of cookies you like. Look, I love the chocolate chip. Even with the dentures, I will still chow down on them. So I love the cookies, the pies. Yes, even the king cakes. I know it's not king cake season. You might be thinking, well, who's doing king cakes? It's not king cake season. Keller's Bakery in Youngsville. That's who. Go down there, check them out. Let them know that you subscribe to this channel. Show them some proof. So whip out your phone. You guys know you're walking in with it in your hand anyway. Show them that you are subscribed to this channel. Get your 2 free cookies and go ahead and order you something for the family. All right. Don't forget to hook yourself up for Thanksgiving with a pie for your table. Everybody's going to, and look, don't pass it off as your own because everybody's going to ask for the recipe. You're not going to have it. Just give credit where credit is due, just like I'm doing. My boy down Keller's Bakery, Dusty. Check them out, 627 Lafayette Street. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Check them out. Tell them that Neil sent you. Pick up 2 free cookies. And below, let me know what you get. Okay. So I'm letting you guys know right now, this next wide receiver that I'm fixing to talk about, I'm extremely hesitant bringing up his name. If you follow fantasy football for any length of time and you follow the Green Bay Packers, you guys know who I'm about to talk about. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, currently of the New Orleans Saints, and he's pretty much the only option they got left at wide receiver. Last week, put up 3 catches. Yes, I said 3, and I'm talking about him on a start episode for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Guys, y'all remember Rashid Shaheed, who's out for the season with injury? Yep, he's in that role. So outside of Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara, there's really nobody left to pass the ball. And they're going up against a Browns team that I seriously doubt you're going to want to run on. However, to the wide receiver position, they are giving up 33.6 points to the position. So again, double-digit points for your wide receivers ain't bad. Plus the amount of work that MVS is going to be getting and the volume he's going to be seeing. Yeah, that's going to be something. Now, they did just get fired their head coach, Dennis Allen, so that's a blessing in and of itself. So it might land a little something last week, and we're hoping that that bump that everybody gets after they fire the head coach lasts at least one more game. So take MVS and make sure that he is on your roster and off your waiver wire. Now, maybe you're missing Trey McBride. Maybe you were dealing with some injury at the oh, there we go. Sorry. Maybe you're missing some tight end work at or some tight ends because of injury. Maybe Kate Otten, you had him. Like I said, maybe you're missing McBride. If you're missing either one of these guys, or if you don't have a really good matchup, then you might want to go look at your waiver wire. And I can pretty much almost guarantee you that this guy is sitting on your waiver wire. Jonnu Smith with the Dolphins going up against the Raiders, 12.6 points. And yes, I'm picking on the Vegas Raiders. They are horrendous this year. Sorry, Vegas. It's just a fact. Okay. So you're giving up 12.6 points to the tight end position. Guys, if you can get 10 plus points out of your tight end position, you got a good shot at winning your week. So hook yourself up, get you Jonnu Smith on your roster. Okay. Now, before I get into sits and we start getting a little negative and we start getting a little down about guys that we thought were going to be something that are just having a really hard time. This week, I need to tell you about somebody who's going to be the guy, the same way Jonnu Smith is going to be the guy in Miami because apparently Tua can just check down now. He forgot how to throw downfield to Waddle and Hill. And that is my boy Bradley with Ami's Grocery down at 603 Jefferson Street in Lafayette, Louisiana, downtown, guys, inside of Gordon Square. So if you're walking around downtown, you pass by Gordon Square, go in, check out Ami's Grocery. You're hungry for something, you're downtown, maybe you don't want to cook for the family, maybe you're just tired and you had a long day. Go in, they've got pre-made meals, and I'm not talking about like Stouffer's frozen dinners. These are like legit family style home cooked meals that they have for you because they have over 200 items from local vendors, over 50 of local vendors that they're supplying. So go down there, check them out. They got farm fresh eggs. Look, you into beef jerky, you want to get a little snack on your way home, pick up some Wagyu. That's right, I said Wagyu beef jerky. It's local. Go down there, check them out. Maybe you got a little sweet tooth. If your wife's anything like mine, she gets cravings every once in a while. So every time I'm down there, I try to pick up a bag of freeze dried candy. It is local. It is delicious. Go down there and check them out. 603 Jefferson Street inside of Gordon Square. And if you're passing by, you need a little something to snack on. Their menu changes daily. They got some delicious stuff cooking in that tiny kitchen they got. Look, tiny kitchen, big flavors. Trust me on this one. You want to go down and check them out. If you're down there on a Tuesday, you can catch their walking taco bowl. Yes, walking taco bowl. You can walk around town eating a taco. It is delicious. Look, go down there and check them out. Don't take my word for it. And tell Bradley that Neil says hi and he sent you down there. All right. So getting into sits. This is somebody used to play for my team, was drafted by my Washington at the time, my Washington Redskins. That's my boy Kirk Cousins. Look, I love Captain Kirk immensely, but this week I'm sitting him down because he's going up against Denver, who's only allowing 14.5 points to the position. Now, also want to remind you guys, all the stats that I'm kicking out to you, these points allowed, these are points allowed based on my fantasy footballers, boys, down in Arizona, Andy, Mike, and Jason. Guys, awesome work. I love your show. If you're a listener of this show, you better be a listener and you better be a Foot Clan member of the fantasy footballers. Go check them out. I put a link down in every description. Go check them out and the fantasy pros, but all my stats are coming from the fantasy footballers. That's my source. So Kirk Cousins facing Denver, giving up 14.5 points to the position. It's going to be a rough go with Denver this week. So if you got better options, definitely work on them. Now, the next guy, I had to take a deep breath. I had to inform my wife that I was going to mention this guy because this is her boy. Even though she's a Packer fan, she loves Jordan Love, but her mainstay fantasy quarterback has always been Patrick Mahomes. That's right. I'm telling you to sit Patrick Mahomes this week. He's going up against the Bills. They're actually underdogs this week. And the Bills giving up 14.9 points to the position. Now, look, we've seen it before. We've seen it all season. I think that Patrick Mahomes has been over 20 3 times in 10 weeks. Guys, that's not good. You don't want just 20 points from somebody like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you expect 25 from him every single week. That's just how it should be. I mean, Mahomes has scored like 13 points a couple of times, 15 points a couple of times. I mean, that's not good for your starting quarterback, especially somebody of that caliber. So if you got a better option, you definitely want to explore that. Okay. Next up at running back, James Cook. Flip side of the ball, same game. KC is giving up 12 points to the running back position. Now, remember, when we do these running backs, points per game allowed, divided by 2, because that's normally how many running backs you run with. When we do wide receivers, do it by 3 because that's usually how many you go with. So if you take the 12, I mean, I went to public school, so really quick math, that's 6. Like 6 points isn't good for a running back. I mean, you want double-digit points from all your guys, especially somebody like James Cook. I mean, we've just come to expect James Cook to have double digits every single game. This ain't that match. Like KC is the worst run defense to go up against. They're the best in the business. They're stopping the run. So if you got a better option than James Cook, go out. If not, temper your expectations because you're going to be disappointed. Next guy you might be disappointed with, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Chase Brown. Look, they brought in Leonard Fournette to work out. No, he didn't make the team. They signed somebody else. But Zach Moss is probably out for an extended period of time. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on those injury reports coming out, especially the ones. Now, this is Friday when I'm doing this, so make sure you're checking out those Friday weekend, those Friday practice reports when they come out about all the injuries for all your players. That's going to kind of give you an idea about where they're standing and who you might need to make adjustments for. Okay. But Chase Brown with the Chargers giving up 14.7 points to the position. Guys, again, real quick math. It's a little over 7 points per game. And again, that's not good. So make sure that if you have a better option, that you're exercising that option because points matter. Okay. I know in my league, points are going to play an extreme determining factor over record in seeing who gets in to the playoffs and who doesn't. Because right now, in my league, all top 6 players who are in the playoffs are all 6-4. I'm the top spot just because I've scored the most points. But I'm not separated by that much. So I need to make sure that all my points count. And when you got players that are putting up average of 6 points in a match like this, you want something better. Okay. Talking about something better, you definitely want better than Darnell Mooney this week at wide receiver. Again, going up against Denver. Look, I told you to sit down Kirk Cousins. You know I'm going to tell you to sit down apparently his favorite target, Darnell Mooney. I know a lot of us thought it was going to be Drake London, but like I said in preseason, Darnell Mooney is the guy that Kirk Cousins specifically told Atlanta to go get. So who do you think he's going to favor? Yeah, he's going to favor Darnell Mooney, but facing a Denver team that gives up 21.5 points to the position. Remember, we're dividing by 3. So once again, same way with Chase Brown, it's only a little over 7 points. Guys, that's not good for your wide receiver. Okay. You definitely want at least double-digit points out of your wide receiver, and hopefully not in the mid to low teens. You want like 19, 20 plus. So another guy who normally has a really good matchup or at least a really good output is DK Metcalf. Now, DK is coming off of an injury. Yeah, he's coming off a bye week, so he's had, some time to get better, but he's going up against a 49ers team, only giving up 25.2 points to the position. Again, that ain't good. So if you got a better option for a wide receiver than DK, you might want to give him a week to get better. Now, you want to throw him out there, I get it. You want to rely on the name. You want to rely on the productivity. But remember, we've already seen JSN shine in his absence. So they already have confidence that JSN can toe the line. If you're a defense, you're putting your best guy on DK. You don't want to let him beat you. Then you got Tyler Lockett now. Tyler Lockett's the underneath guy. Because DK's back, these guys might be a little better. So if you've got some, and I don't recommend this, but if you've got like DK and JSN or DK and Tyler, you might want to sit DK and let him get right at least one game. I'd rather see a good performance on my bench coming off of an injury and get a similar output from somebody else than to throw him out there, have him re-aggravate the injury mid-game and me not be able to do anything about it. Strategy, guys. Strategy. Okay, that's what I'm here for. So that's my start set for this week. I didn't throw in a tight end that I would sit down because tight end is just a really thin position. So if you've got questions about tight end or about defense, about kickers, down below, look, I don't play with those two things, but down below, leave me a comment, ask me a question, let me know what the parameters of your league are, and I'll help you out as soon as I can. Remember, the quicker you get these questions in, the quicker I can answer them, and I might even answer them on the show. So get your comments in down below. And for all those who have commented, guys, I appreciate you and I appreciate the uh, the interaction. I love it. Keep it coming, keep it rolling, and I appreciate the support. Now, I'm gonna harken back to the beginning of the episode when I spoke about my Uncle Charles. Guys, do me a favor. Holiday seasons are coming up, and I know you guys are gonna get bombarded with, donate here and donate there. I'm gonna make a request. Um, if you guys are in the mind frame of making donations, I'm gonna put a link down below for the Wounded Warrior Project. That's where donations are going on behalf of my Uncle Charles. His name is Charles Mister. So if you want to make a donation, if maybe you don't have a wounded warrior in your family, maybe you don't have anybody who served, but you still respect the armed forces and you respect those who sacrifice for our freedom and sacrifice so we can enjoy the freedoms that we have just exercised in this past election by having the right to vote and having the right to have a say in our government, unlike some other places do. Guys, down below, donate to Wounded Warrior Project. I'll leave a hashtag down there. So until next time, guys, I want you to remember that football is good, but God is greater. We'll see you guys next time on Faith in Football. Take care. God bless.